Let's start with a concept that I think almost everyone has bumped into somehow. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You might have read it, maybe seen it on a CEO's bookshelf or just, heard whispers about its strategies. It's kind of notorious, isn't it? Seen as this ultimate guide to influence, maybe control, in what it suggests is a pretty competitive world.
It absolutely is. And it gets strong reactions, right? People see it as cynical, maybe, but also incredibly effective, a necessary manual, perhaps, for navigating ambition.
Or managing relationships strategically, yeah.
It basically teaches you how the influence game has, well, historically been played.
Right. But our mission today isn't just to rehash power that's been done loads. We want to introduce its conceptual opposite, a framework that seems designed almost as a direct response. We're diving into The 48 Laws of Light by Kathryn Schlick.
Interesting. So two totally contrasting manuals for living, essentially, like a master class in different worldviews.
Exactly. One focused, squarely on strategy, external control, maybe even zero-sum thinking.
And the other, dedicated more to inner harmony, compassion, something like that.
Precisely. Inner harmony, purpose, principled living. So we want to help you, the listener, understand the mechanics and the core philosophy of both, so you can kind of weigh the choice they present.
Makes sense. Where do we start?
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the one that's, well, undeniably made its mark, Greene's power. It's really embedded itself in the culture.
It has. And Greene presents it, it's important to note, not as moral guidance, but as a practical manual for a competitive landscape.
Practical application.
Right, exactly. Its focus is relentlessly practical. A detailed guide for gaining power, observing how others use it, or, defending yourself against it.
Power dynamics and human interaction.
Yes. And what's really striking is the scope. Greene took on this huge task, distilling something like 3,000 years of history.
3,000, wow.
Yeah, from ancient Rome, court politics, all sorts of things, into these 48 essential laws for achieving and keeping power.
So it's a playbook, basically, pulled from historical wins and losses. But let's talk about the approach for a second, because that feels critical. It's described as amoral. Why is that distinction not immoral, but amoral? Why is that so key to how the book works?
That really is the essential detail, yeah. The book lays out strategies that have historically been effective, pulled from history, philosophy, figures like Machiavelli,
Right.
By calling them amoral, Greene is basically saying these laws operate outside of good or evil. They're just tools, descriptions of power dynamics.
So it doesn't judge the historical figures, just explains how they got power.
Exactly. It just explains how power was gained and maintained. So for someone learning this, it means you can use the laws defensively or just recognize them being used on you.
Regardless of whether you think the action itself is ethical.
Precisely. It's purely a study of what works in terms of gaining influence. Efficacy.
And you feel that tone straight away in the laws themselves. Things like never outshine the master. That's about managing egos above you.
Right. Yep. Managing perception, insecurities.
And then you get the really stark ones, like crush your enemy totally. That sets a very clear, conflict-oriented stage.
Those examples really make the framework concrete, don't they? It's rooted in conflict, in strategy, in making sure you come out on top. Often by neutralizing others.
Preempting them, yeah.
It's a framework built entirely for the external world, for mastering competition within it. And often that means suppressing your own feelings for strategic advantage. Success is measured externally.
Influence, control. Okay, that sets up the contrast perfectly. Because if power is this manual for the external world, the competitive world, well, how do you deal with the pressure that system creates?
Right, the constant vigilance it demands.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the 48 Laws of Light seems like a deliberate answer to that zero-sum game, offering principles for a whole different kind of life, a counter-manual almost.
It absolutely feels intended as a true conceptual counterbalance. The author, Kathryn Schlick, she shifts the whole focus away from external domination, control, strategy.
And redirects it where?
Towards internal development, alignment. Instead of a manual for maneuvering people, this is more like a manual for mastering the self.
Okay, so less about manipulating social dynamics.
Yeah.
What's the core focus then? What's it aiming for?
Its stated focus is personal growth, healing, and achieving inner harmony. The core idea is providing principles for living with integrity.
Integrity, purpose.
And compassion, yes.
Yeah.
And that commitment to principles, to integrity, that stands in direct opposition to the amoral stance of power.
So it's not about winning against others.
No. It's about how to win internally against things like fear, ego, inner conflict, that sort of thing.
But we need to make this just as tangible, right? We got power through, never outshine the master. If light is internal, what do its laws actually look like? Is it just
No, not quite that simple. It offers specific frameworks too, but they point inward. For instance, where power might talk about controlling perception. Light has something like the law of inner boundaries, which isn't necessarily just about setting boundaries with other people, though that might be part of it. It's more about recognizing where your energy stops and someone else's maybe emotional turmoil begins.
protecting your internal space.
Exactly, protecting your inner state.
That's a great example. It really shifts the battlefield. So if crush your enemy totally is the power way for conflict, what's the light approach when conflict is unavoidable?
Well, you see laws in like the law of clear intent or the law of shared humanity.
Shared humanity.
Okay.
What does that imply?
It doesn't suggest ignoring conflict, but maybe focusing on finding common ground, acknowledging the humanity even in an opponent, viewing friction as perhaps a chance for growth, not just destruction.
Mutual growth instead of total destruction. Big difference.
Huge. The approach uses practical insights, universal truths, often through stories, apparently, to help readers connect with their higher self, nurturing meaningful connections. Relationships are valuable in themselves, not just strategic assets.
It sounds like one is about becoming the ultimate strategist out there in the world, and the other is about building an unshakable sense of self, almost regardless of what the world throws at you.
That really is the crucial distinction, I think. The path of power assumes the world is dangerous and you need cunning defense. The path of light works from the premise that internal alignment, your own purpose, that's the strongest defense you can build.
Right. Which brings us to the practical application part. Segment 3. Putting them side by side, what does this mean? We've got two sort of structured paths laid out. One is external, control, strategy, influence. The other is internal, growth, harmony, purpose.
And this is where it becomes a really deep personal question for you, the listener, the so what insight. Having these two frameworks laid out presents this inherent, quite profound choice about how you define success.
How you pursue it in the world today, yeah. But let's be honest for a second. In a really competitive environment, a job market, office politics, even just arguing online isn't the light path, maybe. A bit idealistic.
The realism question.
Yeah. How does integrity actually survive against ruthlessness? The world is competitive. Power offers tools that seem useful for that reality.
That's the essential tension these two books embody, absolutely. Power offers utility, specifically in moments of conflict or competition. It defines success through influence, maybe dominance, defense against threats.
Using cunning to get an edge.
Right? It teaches you how the world often is, but pursuing that relentlessly, well, that system demands constant energy, right? And perception, suppressing emotions. The success can be fleeting or needs constant upkeep.
And light defines success differently.
Completely differently. That path defines success through purpose, through compassion, inner integrity. It shifts the battleground, like we said, from out there to in here.
Your own consciousness.
Exactly. Aiming for internal mastery, not external domination. So if the external stuff fails, you don't get the promotion, a competitor wins the power framework. Maybe just offers new strategies. Try again.
Right, more cunning.
Whereas the light framework aims to ensure your foundation, your inner state, your self-definition stays intact regardless. Its measure of success is more about endurance, peace of mind, maybe.
It really feels like they're asking us to lose what we prioritize mastering. External circumstances or our own internal state. We face those choices all the time, don't we? Do I play the game strategically, use a bit of cunning maybe, or do I stick to my principles even if it's harder?
And the value of seeing both frameworks clearly is that they show how pursuing external influence, power, and pursuing internal authority, they require different operating systems.
It's different kinds of energy.
Totally different. Power uses cunning, strategy, rooted in historical conflict. It's trying to win the game, whatever that game is.
While light uses, you said, universal truths, personal stories, rooted in healing, purpose, trying to maybe transcend the purely competitive game.
Yeah, perhaps transcend it or at least navigate it differently, focusing on building a life that feels authentic, meaningful from the inside out.
So connecting the dots, if you really lean into the power laws, you might become a master of the external world's rules.
Potentially, yes.
But if you adopt the light laws, you aim to become a master of your response to that world, building a strength others can't easily take away.
Well put. And the real tension, maybe the lifelong work, lies in figuring out where and if those two systems can coexist within one person.
Okay, so we've taken a deep dive today into two really influential, but wow, diametrically opposed philosophies. Robert Greene's power amoral strategy for external control.
Versus Kathryn Schlick's light, a framework of compassion and integrity for internal authority.
Two very different maps.
Indeed. And this raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. When you look ahead, say, the next few years, your goals, professional, personal relationships, whatever, which set of laws, which approach mastering the external world and maximizing influence, or mastering the internal self and maximizing integrity, feels like it provides a more enduring, a more applicable foundation for your life today?
Because both seem to promise a type of success, a path to fulfillment, maybe.
They do, but they define success and fulfillment through radically different lenses. Strategic gains versus purposeful living.
It really encourages you to explore which definition genuinely clicks with your own long-term aims and what you truly want to master. Because the book you choose, in a way, becomes the roadmap you follow.